Hey everyone, X here once again, and today we'll be continuing our exploration into potential inspirations and references from folklore and mythology Capcom may have utilized in order to create or reintroduce monsters within the Sunbreak expansion. In this video, our main focus will be the archdemon of the Abyss, the Gaismagorm, and what inspired the overall design of this Elder Dragon. Along with this gargantuan Elder Dragon, we'll also be venturing into what inspired the design of its rival, the Primordial Malzeno. So, without further ado, let's first venture into the design inspirations that spawned the Archdemon of the Abyss within Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak. First, let's focus our attention to the Gaismagorm itself. By simply observing the general characteristics of the Gaismagorm, it's obvious that Capcom were designing this monster to be representative of the devil itself, or Satan as some would know it. From the large red crystalline spikes covering its body, to the massive wing arms on its back, and the overall menacing look of the monster, Capcom truly captures the essence of a satanic creature with this Elder Dragon. To make the reference even more obvious, the mouth of this creature opens with 5 pointed segments, forming what is essentially an inverted pentagram, a symbol mainly used within satanic cults. The head of the Elder Dragon is also formed in a manner reminiscent to a Baphomet's head to further emphasize the demonic features of the Archdemon of the Abyss. Outside of the physical features of the monster, the overall introduction to Gaismagorm as it crawls from the depths of the yawning abyss with the curio flying in swarms likely references another entity synonymous with Satan, Abaddon. Abaddon has been described by some as a form of angel, spawning from the abyss with a plague of locusts under their command. The introduction to Gaismagorm takes cues from Abaddon as it spawns from the abyss with the curio swarming its surrounding en masse during its awakening in Sunbreak. As a symbol of destruction, Abaddon was known to have some form of angelic traits. This is reflected on Gaismagorm to some extent when the Elder Dragon bursts flaming wings on its back during the second phase of the fight, likely a form of twisted take on Abaddon's angelic features. The flaming wings could also be inspired from the video game series Diablo, where angels are known to have features of flaming wings as opposed to actual physical wings. Finally, the fight against the Abyssal Archdemon occurs within the yawning abyss itself. As the fight progresses, the Elder Dragon falls further down the abyss, and our hunters continue their pursuit of the monster, diving deeper into the depths of the yawning abyss. It's possible that this was merely designed in a similar manner to how the fight against the Safi'jiiva works in Iceborne. However, at the same time, this could also be a reference to an iconic poem by Dante Alighieri, the Divine Comedy. Within Dante's famous poem, his character explores the depths of hell or inferno, guided by the poet Virgil. This is possibly referenced in Sunbreak with our hunter, representing Dante, exploring the abyss where Gaismagorm spawned from, guided by Fiorane, who represents Virgil. As the fight reaches its climax at the bottom of the yawning abyss, we see the Gaismagorm take on its full demonic form. However, despite unleashing its powers, it's still unable to escape its prison. This likely parodies how Satan cannot escape hell despite their efforts, as they are trapped for all eternity within the deepest crevices of hell itself, as seen in the Divine Comedy. Now in this segment, we're going to quickly explore how Capcom incorporated the mythos of Dracula gaining his powers from Satan through the conflict between the Malzeno and Gaismagorm. With Malzeno's overall design heavily mimicking the famed vampire himself, it's no surprise that the Elder Dragon would also mimic how Dracula gained his powers from the devil itself. However, unlike the character from the famous novel who is said to gain their power through a deal with the devil, Malzeno instead gained its power over the curio through direct conflict with the Gaismagorm. During their final clash that would eventually cause great destruction, Gaismagorm commanded its curio swarm to attack the Malzeno and infect it with the curio virus. However, rather than being cursed with a viral infection, Malzeno instead adapted to the curio infection and made their power its own, thus gaining the Gaismagorm's ability to utilize the curio and use their powers, especially during combat. This heavily reflects on how Dracula himself would gain supernatural powers through his deal with the devil. However, unlike Dracula, Malzeno's powers were originally a curse by the archdemon, which, over time, eventually became its greatest blessing. This concept of conflict between a knightly individual turned vampire against the devil is reflective of a plot from a very different video game franchise altogether, with Malzeno's primordial form echoing that of a former knight and Gaismagorm being an XP of Satan. The conflict between these two elder dragons is heavily reminiscent of the storyline within the Castlevania series created by Konami, specifically the Lords of Shadow saga, where we see Gabriel Belmont, a former knight, slowly being corrupted with demonic powers that would ultimately turn him into the vampire Dracula. As the story progresses, he eventually comes into conflict with Satan, his arch-nemesis. The timeline in which the events of Sunbreak's storyline reveal how Primordial Malzeno eventually became the vampiric monster we know today parallels how Gabriel Belmont became Dracula in the Lord of Shadows game, being corrupted with demonic powers after defeating their former arch-nemesis for the first time. Overall, it's possible that Capcom may have taken a huge inspiration from the Castlevania series, as the series by Konami is famous for its unique retelling of the story surrounding the iconic vampire. This could also explain why Capcom designed the variant of Malzeno to be a shining knight slowly being corrupted with a curio, as opposed to simply making the variant an individual without any power or control over the curio. Even the ending of Primordial Malzeno preventing itself from being corrupted could be inspired by another Dracula-based character in the Castlevania series, Soma Cruz. Similar to how Soma Cruz would reject his gifts from Dracula, Primordial Malzeno's ending scene demonstrates the Elder Dragon ultimately rejecting the dark gift from the curio in order to maintain its sense of self and remain uncorrupted by the influence of the parasitic life forms. And that, everyone, is the potential inspirations from folklore and mythology which may have led to the overall design of the Archdemon of the Abyss, Gaismagorm, as well as inspirations which Capcom may have drawn from in order to create the conflict between the Archdemon and the legend-resurrected Primordial Malzeno. If you have any other ideas on what other references or inspirations Capcom may have utilized in order to create these monsters in the series, do let us know in the comments below what you think they are. And as always, if you enjoyed these videos, please consider hitting the like on the video itself and subscribing to the channel, as well as hitting that bell icon so you can go ahead and catch up on any other content that I might be doing in future. Until then, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks ever so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Onward and upward.